For millennia, ancient texts from Sumerian civilizations have spoken of a distant planet, a world called Nibiru, a mysterious force that, according to legends, may have been the home of the gods who created us. But what if this legend is more than just a story? What if Nibiru is actually approaching Earth? What would that mean for our survival? And for our future? In this dark journey, we will explore the ancient myths connecting the Anunnaki to the dawn of humanity. Get ready to uncover hidden truths far from what official history tells us. But the question remains, are we about to reunite with our creators? Or is there something even deeper and more terrifying awaiting us? For millions of years, human evolution progressed at a slow, almost imperceptible pace. Primitive creatures roamed the earth, with no major leaps in intelligence or technology. However, something changed. Suddenly, in the blink of an eye on a geological scale, we emerged as beings capable of building cities, writing complex codes, and even traveling beyond our own planet. How can such a dramatic transformation be explained? What unknown event altered the natural course of evolution? Was it a stroke of chance, or the result of a carefully planned intervention? Archaeological relics and ancient records suggest that our emergence may not have been as spontaneous as we have been taught. Mysterious civilizations, such as the Sumerians, seem to have appeared out of nowhere, bringing with them advanced knowledge in astronomy, agriculture, and engineering. There is no natural progression to explain this sudden burst of knowledge. Some scholars point to the existence of an external influence, a hidden force that shaped our destiny in secret. Could these clues be fragments of a forgotten truth? Or are they merely scratching the surface of something far deeper and more disturbing? The lack of clear evolutionary links between Homo erectus and Homo sapiens further reinforces the mystery. Genetic jumps without apparent explanation defy the traditional laws of biology. Where did the intermediaries go? Why was the change so dramatic and rapid? Could it be that our genetic code was deliberately modified, as some conspiracy theories suggest, involving extraterrestrial manipulation? Are we facing an inexplicable event recorded? For millennia, ancient civilizations have left us with stories of gods descending from the skies to create humanity. Among the most intriguing of these traditions are the Sumerian tales, which speak of the Anunnaki, mysterious and powerful beings who, according to ancient texts, came from a distant planet. To the Sumerians, these gods not only ruled but also played a crucial role in the creation of our species. But why would such advanced beings have been interested in us? What was the purpose behind their intervention? The Anunnaki, according to the legends, were described as genetic architects, capable of modifying and enhancing the human biology. They not only taught humans to cultivate the land and master writing but also improved the human body, manipulating its DNA in ways that would be unimaginable for any primitive civilization. The theory that the Anunnaki shaped humanity to fulfill a specific purpose, possibly as servants or slaves, raises unsettling questions about our true origin. Were they truly gods, or extraterrestrial beings using their advanced technology to control us? Various accounts, found in ancient Sumerian texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Epos of Enki, suggest that these gods conducted genetic experiments on humans. According to the narrative, the Anunnaki altered the genome of primitive beings, creating a race of workers capable of carrying out their tasks. But what if these gods were not merely myths or exaggerated stories? What if the true reason for our existence is linked to a cosmic intervention we still don't fully understand? Were the Anunnaki truly responsible for our creation, or was it all part of a plot to keep a secret buried in the sands of time? Around 7,000 years ago, in what seemed like an instant in the grand timeline of history, a sudden and inexplicable phenomenon occurred. In the midst of what appeared to be a barren and isolated world, a civilization emerged, Sumer. The Sumerians were not just another primitive culture. They were the inventors of writing, agriculture, the wheel, and navigation, advancing in ways that defy the conventional understanding of human history. How did such an advanced society come to be, seemingly out of nowhere? For over 200,000 years, human beings had lived in relative stagnation, developing slowly and steadily in the shadows of the vast, unexplored world. Then, without warning, an entire civilization arose with monumental achievements, almost as if it had been placed there by outside hands. Was this a mere coincidence, or was there something, or someone, driving this leap in human development? The ancient Sumerian texts themselves offer tantalizing hints, stories of gods who descended from the heavens, bringing with them knowledge and technologies that revolutionized the earth. In Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki are often depicted as divine beings who taught the early humans the skills and knowledge needed to build a flourishing civilization. But why were they so focused on advancing humanity? Was it an altruistic gesture, or did they have an ulterior motive? As the evidence piles up, the answer may lie hidden within the ruins of Sumer, waiting to be uncovered. Was the sudden rise of Sumer just the beginning of a far-reaching plan, one that would forever alter the course of history? Ancient texts suggest that the Anunnaki were not just visitors to Earth, but miners, extracting resources for purposes beyond human understanding. Gold, a seemingly simple metal, holds a key role in many ancient mythologies, and it appears to have been of great importance to the Anunnaki. According to the Sumerian texts, these beings required gold to restore the atmosphere of their home planet, Nibiru. The gold from Earth, they believed, could be used to repair their planet's failing environment. A quest for gold so vital that it might have justified the exploitation of an entire species. But why gold? What made this metal so essential? The theories surrounding the Anunnaki's need for gold are not just speculation. They are supported by ancient records and symbols found in the ruins of long-lost civilizations. These records speak of the gods' desperation as they turned to human labor to extract the precious metal. The question arises, did the Anunnaki manipulate humanity into working for them? Were the first human civilizations built not for progress, but as a means of fulfilling the Anunnaki's insatiable need for gold? As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient texts and archaeological evidence, the connection between gold and the Anunnaki becomes increasingly undeniable. Could this be the hidden motive behind human civilization's sudden rise? Was humanity truly a pawn in a cosmic game, destined to serve the needs of beings from another world? The search for answers may reveal far more than we ever imagined. Before humanity came into existence, the Anunnaki relied on a race of workers known as the Agi. These beings, often described as semi-humanoid, were tasked with laboring in the gold mines, extracting the precious metal to satisfy the Anunnaki's needs. However, this system of forced labor would not last. Over time, the Agi grew restless, exhausted by the endless toil, and began to rebel. The situation grew tense, with uprisings threatening the Anunnaki's operations. The gods, faced with mounting resistance, decided that a new solution was necessary, one that would create a race of workers more capable and easier to control. The creation of humanity, according to some interpretations of Sumerian texts, was not a random event. It was a response to the rebellion of the Agi. In a desperate move, the Anunnaki genetically engineered the first human beings, blending their own DNA with that of Earth's hominids. This hybrid creature, known as Adamu, was designed to be the perfect laborer, intelligent enough to work, yet submissive enough to follow orders without question. It was a race of beings created not for their potential, but for their utility. Humans became tools in the Anunnaki's grand scheme. The creation of humanity marked a turning point in the history of our planet. We were born from the ashes of rebellion, molded to serve a purpose that was never our own. Yet, despite our origins, we have since grown into a civilization that has evolved far beyond its intended function. Were we truly the product of a genetic experiment, or did we simply adapt to a world that was always meant to be our own? And if we were created for a specific purpose, does that purpose still bind us today? The name Adam, meaning the first man, carries a deep weight, being identified as the first human creation by the Anunnaki. This being, conceived through genetic engineering, was shaped to be the foundation of a race of workers, intelligent enough to perform complex tasks, yet submissive enough to obey without question. In a way, Adamu would be the prototype of Homo sapiens, developed for a specific purpose: the enslavement of humanity. The story of Adamu surprisingly resonates with the biblical account of Adam, the first man according to Judeo-Christian tradition. While the Bible and Sumerian traditions present slightly different views, the similarities are undeniable. In both narratives, Adam, or Adam, is described as the first human, created in a special manner, a divine creation with a specific purpose within a larger plan. However, instead of being purely a divine creation as the traditional religious figure suggests, Adamu would have been the result of a meticulously planned process by the Anunnaki, beings from another world who possess technologies far beyond what any ancient civilization could comprehend. His creation was a response to the Anunnaki's need for workers to extract mineral resources from Earth, particularly gold, which the Anunnaki believed was essential for their own planets. Adamu, therefore, would not only be the first man, but the first slave, a being made in the image and likeness of the Anunnaki, but designed to serve. His story serves as a dark reminder that behind many great mythologies and traditions, there may be an even more unsettling truth about the origin of humanity. Was Adamu the true origin of our species, or simply the first step in a much larger plan yet to be uncovered? Not all of the Anunnaki's genetic experiments were successful. In many ancient cultures, there are legends of deformed or monstrous beings that seem to have been the result of failed genetic manipulations. These beings, with physically altered characteristics, often represented the failure of a divine or celestial experiment. Stories of mythological creatures like cyclopes, gorgons, and other aberrations were not simply ancient tales but may reflect failures in the Anunnaki's experiments, as described in Sumerian traditions. In Greek mythology, for example, cyclopes were known for their imposing appearance and unique traits, such as a single eye in the center of their forehead. While the legends may have been embellished over millennia, descriptions of such creatures could be based on ancient accounts of failed humanoid creations. The Gorgons, such as Medusa, were portrayed as women with snakes for hair and a gaze that could turn anyone into stone. These creatures were not seen as gods but as results of experiments that went out of control, showing the darker side of the attempt to create humans or semi-humans. These genetic failures were seemingly more than mere cautionary tales. They could represent an attempt by the Anunnaki to perfect their creation but, in the process, creating monsters and mutants. But what does this tell us about the Anunnaki and their relationship with humanity? Were these mythological creatures evidence that the intervention of superior beings in the Earth's evolutionary process was never entirely successful? Or was the creation of monsters a way for the Anunnaki to deal with what they could not control? Could these legends be a way for ancient civilizations to try to understand failures that seemed inexplicable? The search for answers in such stories may help us better understand the complexities of our species' origin and the possibility of deeper genetic interventions throughout history. Many of these stories continue to fascinate scholars and conspiracy theorists. The idea that beings from another galaxy or dimension could have been trying to manipulate or enhance our own species is not new but rather an issue that has lingered for millennia. If the Anunnaki's failures in creation truly existed, then the genetic mutations described in these legends might be a clue that, just like in their own experiments, human evolution could have been influenced by attempts to create something perfect, but for various reasons, it went wrong. The connection between these myths and the genetic manipulations that may have occurred in ancient civilizations could be stronger than we think, and uncovering these failures might be the beginning of understanding the forces that shaped humanity. Various ancient cultures, especially in Mesopotamian mythologies, speak of the creation of humanity from the blood of the gods and the clay of the earth. This narrative may be much more than a simple spiritual or symbolic story. The clay could refer to the primitive genetic material found in early hominids, while the blood of the gods might suggest external intervention, possibly from superior beings like the Anunnaki. Rather than being a mere allegory, this description could reflect a process of genetic manipulation where the ancient gods, or the Anunnaki, used their own advanced DNA to create or enhance the human species. These gods would not be gods in the traditional religious sense, but rather an advanced civilization that possessed the knowledge necessary to alter the genetic code of primitive beings. The idea that human creation involved the blood of the gods, who were possibly a superior species, raises the possibility that the Anunnaki used their own biology to improve the intelligence and physical capabilities of the first humans. This would suggest that humanity did not arise from a simple evolutionary process but from a deliberate intervention by external beings who sought to optimize the species to serve their own interests. Moreover, the combination of divine blood and clay of the earth as metaphors could be a way to describe the fusion between the genetic material of the Anunnaki and the native genetic material of Earth. The clay, being something common and accessible, would represent the early hominids, while the divine blood would symbolize a rare and advanced element capable of creating beings with superior abilities. This mixture would not only have generated a new species of intelligent beings but could also explain the differences between modern humans and other species that once inhabited the planet. If it was indeed a genetic manipulation, this creation process could have been an attempt to produce a more efficient and submissive workforce as part of a larger project to serve the interests of the Anunnaki on Earth. Recent studies in human genetics reveal crucial mutations that may have propelled our cognitive evolution in a sudden and inexplicable way. One of the most intriguing examples is the TKTL1 gene, associated with the advanced development of the neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for language, abstract thinking, and consciousness. Strangely, the modern variant of this gene, different from that found in Neanderthals and Denisovans, appeared relatively suddenly. For some scientists, these genetic changes are the result of natural processes. However, for alternative theorists, mutations like this raise suspicions that human evolution may have been artificially accelerated. After all, the leap in cognitive ability seems far too rapid to be explained by natural selection alone. The hypothesis of external intervention gains strength when we observe that certain mutations tied to intelligence, motor coordination, and reasoning emerged within a relatively short evolutionary timespan. The modification of the TKTL1 gene, specifically, is believed to have granted Homo sapiens a devastating cognitive advantage over other human species. Was this genetic alteration simply a natural accident? Or could it be evidence of deliberate interference, possibly linked to the presence of the so-called Anunnaki gods? The coincidences are unsettling. Modern science, perhaps unwittingly, might be uncovering hidden clues about the true process behind the emergence of humanity as we know it today. If genetic manipulation truly played a role in creating Homo sapiens, the evidence would be silently encoded in our very DNA, an invisible record of our real origins. The existence of such convenient mutations like TKTL1 raises uncomfortable questions about what we believe to be the natural course of evolution. Are we unknowingly carrying the signature of ancient genetic engineers? Research into the human genome, although conducted under the banner of science, may inadvertently be unearthing fragments of a past far deeper and more complex. A past where humanity's creation was not a cosmic accident, but a carefully orchestrated event, perhaps even one overseen by intelligences beyond our current understanding. For centuries, accounts from ancient civilizations have mentioned Nibiru, an enigmatic wandering planet that vanishes for eons, only to return bringing chaos and transformation. Sumerian texts describe its impact on Earth, suggesting that Nibiru's approach caused devastating geological changes and the downfall of civilizations. For a long time, modern science dismissed these stories as unfounded myths. However, in 2015, astronomers at Caltech detected strong evidence of a massive object beyond Pluto, named Planet 9. Its characteristics are eerily similar to ancient descriptions of Nibiru, an extremely elongated orbit, a revolution period of 10,000 to 20,000 years, and a mass dozens of times greater than Earth's. Could we be on the verge of confirming the reality behind an ancient, forgotten legend? The search for Planet 9 goes far beyond mere astronomical curiosity. Its implications resonate through theories of cyclical disasters and mass extinctions throughout Earth's history. Some scientists suggest that the passage of such a massive body could disrupt gravitational fields, trigger magnetic pole reversals, and even unleash extinction events that once wiped out prehistoric species. Anomalies in the distribution of objects within the Kuiper belt further strengthen this theory. Deformed orbits and unusual groupings point to the influence of an unseen giant. Although skepticism remains strong, gravitational evidence continues to build with each new analysis. Are we only beginning to understand the cosmic cycles that shape, and destroy life on this planet? The possibility that Nibiru and Planet 9 are the same entity raises questions that transcend science and venture into the realms of myth and ancestral memory. If the ancients truly recorded astronomical events with such precision, what other hidden truths might lie within their accounts? Some speculate that Nibiru could be the home of the Anunnaki, watching Earth from its long orbit, awaiting the proper moment to return. Others view it as a mere cosmic force, indifferent yet capable of altering humanity's destiny. While telescopes scour the skies for confirmation, one chilling question echoes in the vast silence of space: what exactly is coming toward us, and will we be ready to face it? Ancient relics scattered across the world seem to challenge the official narratives about humanity's origins. Among the most intriguing are the enigmatic elongated skulls found in Paracas, Peru. These skulls display anatomical features that cannot be fully explained by known cranial deformation techniques. Larger brain volumes, different bone sutures, and the absence of mechanical manipulation signs suggest they might belong to a distinct lineage. Meanwhile, at the archaeological site of Ur in ancient Sumer, the tomb of Queen Puabi was unearthed, her remains also showing unusual physical traits. Could these biological anomalies be silent evidence of a genetic heritage left behind by the Anunnaki themselves? Recent genetic studies on the Paracas skulls have revealed even more disturbing results. Mitochondrial DNA analysis showed that some samples carried genetic markers unknown in any recognized human lineage. These findings fuel theories that hybrid beings, created through genetic manipulation by extraterrestrial visitors, may have once walked among us. If the Anunnaki truly shaped humanity, it would make sense that traces of their first creations still lie buried under the sands of time. Archaeological evidence, though controversial, draws a compelling pattern of anomalous presences scattered across different continents, like fragments of a long-forgotten puzzle. Mainstream academia is quick to dismiss such discoveries as mere natural anomalies or archaeological hoaxes. However, the sheer number of reports involving deformed skulls, impossible artifacts, and unexplained megalithic structures in key regions hints at something much greater, something conventional history refuses to confront. If we accept the Anunnaki hypothesis, these remnants are not only evidence of their presence but clues of their ongoing influence. Perhaps, around the world, ancient bloodlines still carry fragments of their creators' DNA. And if so, could some of these descendants today hold positions of power, guarding a legacy dating back to a time when gods still walked among us? The ancient story of the Anunnaki may not be confined solely to our distant past. If Nibiru, the supposed planet of origin of these beings, truly exists, some calculations suggest its return to the solar system might happen around the year 2900 AD. Ancient texts, such as the Enuma Elish and Sumerian tablets, describe the orbital cycle of Nibiru as immensely long, crossing the farthest reaches of space before it approaches Earth once again. But what would happen when they return? Would we face our ancient masters, from whom we inherited both our advancements and our curses? Or would humanity have, through its own means, become something unrecognizable even to its creators? With each scientific breakthrough, we move closer to what was once considered divine: altering genes, creating life in laboratories, exploring the cosmos. Ironically, we are now stepping into the role once assigned to the Anunnaki. This raises an unsettling question. Could we be repeating the same cycle of creation and domination they initiated? Perhaps extraterrestrial civilizations like theirs have undergone similar processes, creating beings to serve their purposes, only to watch them evolve, challenge their creators, and seek their own paths. The story of creation may, in fact, be a story of inevitable rebellion echoing through the millennia. The potential return of Nibiru would not only represent a reunion with our ancient gods but a decisive moment for humanity. Would we be ready to confront our creators? Or would they find a world unrecognizable, inhabited by beings who now aspire to become gods themselves? This dark narrative suggests that the saga of the Anunnaki is more than just a buried myth. It is a mirror of what we are and what we may become. Perhaps, in the end, the greatest mystery is not who created us, but who or what we will be when the cycle begins anew. The past, present, and future may intertwine in ways we have yet to fully understand. Now, after everything we've revealed, do you still wonder, what's really behind all of this? Is Nibiru just a distant myth, or is there a hidden truth that we've never been told? And the Anunnaki, could they be more than ancient myths? What else has been kept from humanity? Are we being manipulated by invisible forces, playing a much bigger game than we can comprehend? And what awaits us in the future if these ancient forces truly return? I know what you must be thinking. Is all of this just coincidence? Or is there something much bigger and more terrifying happening behind the scenes? Something we're just starting to understand? And you? Do you believe the real story is right in front of us, but it's been deliberately hidden from us? Or is all of this part of an unimaginable manipulation? If you want to continue exploring secrets like this, like, share, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Don't miss any mysteries because, as always, there's so much more behind the curtains than meets the eye.